The IIeX Asia Pacific Conference by Green Book is happening in Bangkok December 4 and 5. And in the lead up to this amazing event, I'm speaking with thought leaders from around the Asia Pacific region. Today I'm speaking with Ray Lowe from Picnic Customer Intelligence and Bish Chatterjee from Metrixlab about the difference in working in Southeast Asia compared to other markets. Proudly brought to you by the Asia Pacific region's best Insights Conference, IIeX, and My Employer Life, achieve your goals through your people. Okay, thanks for joining us. Of course, today's topic, we're looking at something that I've been looking forward to talking about for quite some time. The differences of working between a market like Australia and markets like Southeast Asia. And to join me, I've got two experts who have done exactly that. We've got Ray and Bish. Say hello, guys.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Let's look at boutiques versus large organizations.
Yeah, I can start with this one. Having worked in both markets, those listening in from Australia, they'll realise that boutiques really dominate. In Australia, one-man bands, two-man bands, they do very well. And in Asia, it's more the larger agencies, let's say the big four. They're the ones who dominate here. I think Bish can talk a bit more about why potentially the larger ones dominate. But from an Australian perspective, we see research as really a people business. So what we find is when someone leaves a particular company and moves somewhere else, it's quite inevitable that business will move with them, that their existing clients will move with them. One of my clients was talking about some extra research to be done, and they just said, oh, let's ask Karen to put that in the tracker. They didn't know where Karen was from. They just said, let's ask her, because they associate the research with the person and not the brand.
From the Asia perspective, it's obviously slightly much more different from where Australia is at, just from a development, from a market research, where market research is in Australia versus Southeast Asia. In Australia, with the level of development, you would expect that expertise to still be there in a client's organization, and the people that are working with them, with the boutiques that they're working with. In Southeast Asia, it's slightly different, wherein a lot of the clients, they look at global agencies to guide them and help them sort of set that path up for them, which is where the expertise from the global agencies really come in. The boutiques do have a role to play, but at the moment, it's a bit more limited to small studies, a bit more qualitative work, where the people aspect comes in, where you want to work with a certain person in a certain market. So while boutiques are certainly growing and doing work in this space, it's still broadly governed by a lot of the global organizations, big MNCs that are working with clients in Southeast Asia.
And the question that leads me to want to ask is about differences in approaches. And if I keep that as broad as possible, how would you respond to that? What are the differences in approaches based on the experiences that you've got?
I think the approaches, especially in Southeast Asia, if you look at it sort of two broad buckets, you've got a lot of off-the-shelf solutions, products, which a lot of the bigger agencies have, and which we include, Metrixlab included, also have off-the-shelf products. But as Metrixlab, one of the key things that we really focus on is client centricity. So we have off-the-shelf solutions, which we are more than happy to talk about. But if your business need is something that needs to be made from ground up, we will do that. So I think that's one key need which a lot of clients across the Southeast Asian countries need. And a client sitting in Indonesia versus someone sitting in Malaysia, they feel that no, my country is different and I need something unique for you to help me with this question. So it's a bit difficult if you go to them and say, okay, you know what, I have this cookie cutter which I'm happy to deploy for you in Malaysia and Indonesia. Yes, there are occasions when you can do that, but what we really focus on with the local clients is helping build something which works for them and their particular business need. I think that's a very key area where, as Metrixlab, we really look to partner clients to ensure that we are answering their particular solution in a way which they are comfortable with and not necessarily trying to force something on them.
Yeah, I agree. It's in Australia, a lot of the research is custom and custom built. So the question about scalability, we'll talk about that separately. But because it's custom built, what the client really wants to buy is a recommendation, backed up with some insights. So what should we do? Rarely would they say, rarely do you see in a brief, a client will say, I want to buy product X, Y, Z, not so much productized. I mean, I mentioned the tech example, the 771 tech platforms out there. They can buy that, but from a researcher, they're really looking for an answer to their business question. So that makes things very, very customized. And yeah, as I said, it's makes it more challenging intellectually, and a lot of the boutiques will spend a lot of time thinking about what particular angle they'll come in to beat someone else. And it's not so much the solution-based approach in that respect. Even the bigger programs that may require a product per se, even from the bigger agencies, even they're tweaked to the business situation. So it's very much customized.
So then, let's get onto some advice. I mean, people move between markets. Research is a very mobile market, it seems. I see sometimes when advertisements are being placed, they're asking for people to maybe come into different markets. And so what advice would you give to someone who's looking to move into the Southeast Asian market, who might be a researcher coming from somewhere else, might be coming from Australia, might be coming from other market? What would you say to them?
Yeah. So yeah, I'll pick that up. So for me, okay, so I started my career in India, and the first thing you realize in research is that there are many Indias in India. How the North is different from a South versus a West and a East.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, this is interesting. I moved to Nairobi, Kenya, where I moved in with the perception this is one continent, this is Africa. So yeah, should be fine. And then you realize how a Nigeria is different from a Kenya or a Tanzania and a Zambia. I think that perspective really helped me when I moved here to Singapore, because I did move with the preconception that, okay, all Southeast Asian markets would be the same. I was on the lookout for those nuances, that how a Singaporean would react to a survey question, to a brand, to advertising is very different the way a Vietnamese or an Indonesian will react. There are a lot of cultural nuances, how you have to comply with a lot of cultural nuances in a market like Indonesia versus where you might have a bit more freedom in a market like Philippines to really stretch the borders and go outside of your comfort zone. So I think the advice that I would give to anyone moving to the Southeast Asia region is don't consider this as a homogeneous one big region that I can look at or take care of. Look at it as different building blocks that make up a region, but every block is as different and unique as it can get from the other.
Yeah, great advice, particularly for those who are coming from fairly homogenous markets. A lot of Western markets can be similar-ish, I guess, to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, so I mean, from that perspective, I agree with Bish 100%. When I moved here 4 years ago, it was very much the case, learning about, you do a lot more multi-country projects, and you need to learn about the nuances between each one, how to phrase a question, how to interpret data, and how to manage people, from different cultures, countries, and what you can say to one particular person in one country is different to another. So that takes some getting used to, because we're very homogenous in Australia. We're generally, so that's one thing that's different. In terms of people, if you want to move to Australia, what would I recommend? It's a very small industry. Everyone knows everyone. So it's all about connecting and making friends, and probably being a bit out of the comfort zone to do that. But research requires that, because once you've built those connections and a name, then you can succeed. So that's really, really
great advice.
I'd just like to chip in on this point that Ray alluded to on people. I think that's a very critical element, especially in a market like Southeast Asia. As in, I have had clients where, just thinking of a client I had in Indonesia, for example, the MD was Brit, the chief marketing guy was Indian, and then the local research team you're talking to are from the local country. So how you tune yourselves to when you're speaking to all of these different nationalities, cultures, is very different, be it just in the way you're talking to them on a day-to-day basis, or even when you're presenting findings. Just getting a sense of who the people are when you're presenting to 20 people in the room, and the fact that you need to ensure you're speaking to each one of them and you're connecting with each one of them. I think that diversity in the audience, in the clients that you're dealing with, is something that you should really be comfortable with.
And so then, final question. We're in the dawn of a new decade. The 2019 is almost come to a close. So thinking about the future and the region, any predictions, any tips, any ways you'd like to see or think that things might play out?
So I think a lot of the, way you talk to people, clients, nuances aside, the one thing which for us is key as Metrixlab is how do we use technology as a disruption? I think that will really unlock the opportunities in markets. We have already launched solutions where we are using artificial intelligence based platforms. We are using 3D environments for our solutions. So for us, the focus is how do we use technology to get over a lot of barriers that each of these individual countries in Southeast Asia sort of have right now. So that's where a lot of the focus will be, along with, of course, ensuring that we are building custom solutions, custom research for guys in each of these markets, and not necessarily forcing something which a global team has just signed off. I think ensuring we have a client first approach for people in these countries, and how do we leverage the power of technology to break down barriers is going to be key in Southeast Asia going forward.
Ray, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I'll come back to the 771 platforms
You love that, don't you?
Yeah, it's a huge number. And that's going to help research, facilitate research, enable research, making it faster, smoother, cleaner. But there's still the consulting side, and I'm a really firm believer of that. So the output still comes out, and what do you do with it? You can be an expert in using the tech platform. Someone still needs to use it, and someone still needs to interpret the output and consult with it. So I really think the consulting space with the tech platforms is going to be critical moving forward. As I said, the tech really enables things to happen, but not provides the actual outcome or recommendation which clients want. And the other thought I had was, with so many of the tech platforms out there, I think a lot of the clients are clients and also research agencies. They're not really sure which one. There's some obvious ones that do very well, but they're not really sure which ones to go with. So there's probably a space in the future for someone to do their homework, audit all these platforms, and make recommendations. Maybe someone in the middle as a broker, or not a broker, but someone who can is tech agnostic, but they can provide some recommendations based on their own usage.
Chaps, thanks very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. I think it's a fascinating topic again, and I wish you all the best for the day. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Before we get into it, I thought I might get you guys to introduce yourselves, if that's okay, rather than me doing that. Ray, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ray. I work for a boutique research company called Picnic Customer Intelligence. We've been around for about just a year. There's two key owners, myself and Matt Howley, based in Melbourne. I'm based in Singapore, so we have offices in the region. We focus on really consulting with clients. So we take the research and we really take it to the next level with clients themselves. And we spend a lot of time sitting at the client's office, working with the insights themselves. We understand that I was looking today actually on insightsplatform.com, there's 771 tech platforms out there, which is probably more than the number of research companies in Australia. So tech is there, but the consulting side, what we do with the tech, what insights we draw, how can we make a difference with the tech, I think that side's a bit lacking, and that's where we come in. So in total, years-wise, I've done, people, in market research, they always claim number of years. So mine is about 17, 13 in Australia, 4 in Australia. Sorry, 13 in Australia, 4 in Asia, in Singapore. I moved here 4 years ago, and I've worked for some large research agencies here. So my view is, I do have the Asia perspective, having moved over here from a research side, and obviously the Australian view as well. So, but predominantly my experience is Australian based.
Fantastic. So Bish, same thing. Tell us about yourself and a bit about the experience you've had in across these various markets.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Bish Bishwaru, or Bish, as most of my clients and colleagues will know me. Have about 12 years of experience in research. Started off from India, where I'm originally from. Then spent 3 years in Africa, doing research in Sub-Saharan Africa and Nairobi, Kenya. And then I've been in Singapore for the last 5 years. So I've been working with a number of big brands across these markets. For the last 1 year, I have been with Metrixlab, which is a truly digital-first research agency. We really love challenging the way things are done right now, and not necessarily play by the rules. So we like to chop and change and break the way research is done. We truly believe digital is in the DNA of the way we do research, and that's something which clients have really appreciate what we bring to the table. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time working in diverse markets, especially in Southeast Asia. And yeah, can't wait to talk more about the challenges you faced when working in Southeast Asia.
Thank you for watching, and watch out for more interviews with other thought leaders across the Asia Pacific region. Purchase your tickets for IIeX Bangkok December 4 to 5 from this website, insightinnovation.org, and use this discount code to save 30% off your full ticket. I'm Jason Buchanan. This has been APAC Insight. See you next time.